Breaking news, Illini center Morez Johnson breaks wrist. Status out indefinitely. Illini fans all around the world, status very fragile.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome welcome all to an episode that I'm not going to look forward to doing. And it's a breaking news edition of Locked On Illini. My name is Sonny Verma. I'm your host here at Locked On Illini. Find me on all your favorite social medias. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. I've had a lot of feedback over the past week and a half on almost each and every episode. And so I always appreciate the commentary. I try to go back and forth with a bunch of you as often as I can in the comments. Again, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Breaking news. This is a bummer. Morez Johnson, just announced by Brad Underwood in the pregame press conference for the preview, essentially, for Wisconsin on Tuesday night. Brad announced that Morez is out indefinitely with a broken wrist. This is what Brad had to say. Morez Johnson is out and will not play for a good bit. He broke his wrist in a fall on that elite block shot that he made. He fell, he hit the floor pretty hard and was tough enough to bounce up and say, tape it. That impacted a couple of his close misses at the rim as well late in the game. He's in a cast. No timeline at this point. We'll strap it up and have to move forward without his presence. Feel terrible for that young man. What an incredible play. It's one of the best I've seen in a long time. And unfortunately, that injury happened. We'll go to Madison without him. He follows up a little later on. We'll find out how it impacts us. We played a lot early in some moments. Trey White's back and healthy. Kerry Booth and all those guys are going to have to give us some opportunities. Earlier in the year, we were playing Morez as his development was growing. 8, 10, 12 minutes a game. We're kind of back to that a little bit. Obviously, you've got an elite offensive rebounder that we miss, and some guys have to step up. This season, the 2024-2025 season continues just to be, what's the right word for it? It's a train wreck? It's too good to be a train wreck, but just one of those where it's just dizzying at this point. Whether it's, the whole Kylan Boswell, Trey White, Thomas Slavovicic getting mono and basically infecting the entire team, and these guys becoming sick, and then the guys who are becoming sick come back and they don't end up playing. It's it's crazy from where we were in the beginning of January. And now, arguably, our best player over the past couple of weeks, or maybe not best player, but at least the most consistent player, is gone what could probably be the rest of the season, if not worse. And, I can get to that in a little bit. Some of it's my fault. Usually I try to stay pretty positive on this channel. My everydayers, you guys know. But, as of late, I've released a couple videos in a row, which have been, very not as positive. Not that it's negative, but it's simply wanting accountability in certain aspects. So today, when I was thinking of topics for Tuesday's episode, I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on Morez because, as I told you guys all on Sunday morning, I did rewatch that game, and Morez's play just jumped out at me. He was clearly the best player on the floor for the Illini. And for me, it's just, let me devote a segment to him. Let's try to turn things around a little bit. I know I've been a little bit negative, but let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Then I'm having lunch with my kids, and I just got my phone playing while they're eating pizza, and there's Brad Underwood talking, and I just questioned, did I hear what I hear? Is that what he said? What? I replay it, go back 15 seconds, and he talks about Morez Johnson being out and not making that trip to Madison. And I can't even say my heart sank. It was just one of those where already Illini Nation in general, and tell me if you agree with me or you don't agree with me in the comment section. By the way, this is live, and I will get to some of your comments in the second segment. So if you have something to say, please let me know. And while you're here, make sure you hit that like button We got about 34 people here and 2 likes, and that math is not mathing. But as I was saying, I wasn't even bummed out. For me, it's like we're getting to the point this year where I've got to preview Wisconsin for Tuesday's episode. And so watching some of their game film, again, I've said this before on this channel over the past couple of days, they look really good. That offense is the type of offense that Illini fans convinced, or not, maybe it's not Illini fans. It's Brad Underwood and the coaching staff is convinced that we have when it comes to just being super highly efficient. And, even before this news, I was talking about, hey, maybe Wisconsin might break 85, 90 on Illinois. And now one of our best defenders is going to be out for this game. And again, it's not even our best defender. It's our most consistent player that we've had over the past month. He's going to be out. And, it's like, what does this say for Illini Nation, for this Illini basketball team? A team that, if you guys watch my video on Sunday, has to win at least 2 out of the last 5 games for me to sit here and feel comfortable about our tournament prospects. If you only win 1 out of 5, and that one being Iowa, by the way, Iowa stinks. Iowa is a really bad basketball team, and that's a team you have to 100% beat. But if you go 1-4 and have an early exit in that Big Ten tournament, you're staring at 18-14. And I know the metrics look good, but you know what? If you lose 4 out of 5, it wouldn't even be that. We just lost Michigan State, right? So if you lose, it would be 5 out of 6 games in a row. If you include Michigan State at the end of the year, those metric numbers are going to go down. And so that combined with the fact that you could have 13, 14 losses, it might be time to stress out a little bit. Again, I'm not going to get too much into that. Yeah, if you want to, please just check out the video from Sunday where I talk about how, this Illini team's postseason chances might be in trouble. But for the short segment, I just wanted to come on, and I figured a lot of you might have a lot to say. It's unfortunate because Morez is one of those guys, and I have to be careful about how I word this. He simply is one of the embodiment of the hashtag everyday guys that Brad Underwood has been running with for the last couple of years. He's not someone who has a crazy, outlandish personality. He's not someone you hear from, in the media, whether he's sulking or he's complaining about this. Morez Johnson Jr. played on Team USA over the summer. And, he was one of the higher prospects Illinois has brought in a very long time. He's a kid who committed to Illinois, 3-4 years ago? And he stuck to his commitment. How rare is that in today's college basketball world? Where commitments don't even last 2 weeks before a player flips. Morez was always loyal. And, just seeing him stick around for as long as he did and get on the court with the Illini. And from the beginning of the season, from almost game 1, I've been talking about on this channel how he's easily my favorite player on this basketball team. And, through his own hard work, even though he wasn't starting, he would be starting on a lot of teams in this country, including in the Big Ten. What did he do? Did he sulk? Did he complain? No. He put his head down and he worked. And he was so good in the glimpses that we saw of him. A lot of us were talking about, hey, we need to give Morez more time on the court. And it's not just us. Eventually Brad, that's exactly what he did. He shifted the starting lineup around. And we saw more Morez Johnson in the starting lineup. Now, it hasn't exactly turned into team success so much over the past month and a half. But Morez himself has been blossoming into the player that we all hope that he can be. And that type of player, I'm telling you, the ceiling is unlimited. Morez's game, I've shared my opinions on Morez. I think as early as next year, he could be a contender for all Big Ten team. He's just that good, and he just works that hard. And by the time he's a junior, by the time he's a senior, he's going to get mentions as an All-American in this country. But what happens now? It's one of those where let's be honest, and I don't want to dig too much into this because I don't want to act like I'm insinuating anything, but it needs to be mentioned, right? Morez Johnson was recruited by Tim Anderson, and Tim Anderson's no longer on the staff here at Illinois. And, with the way Brad Underwood teams tend to be as of late, I'm confident, or let's just say I'm pretty sure Morez will be back. But is there a chance that we saw the last of Morez Johnson Jr. in an Illini uniform? This is like, if we all evaluate our situation, it's not a never say never situation, right? This is one of the situations where, yeah, maybe. But again, the thing is, that's maybe for a future episode. Let me know your guys' thoughts on that. Right now, it's time to hunker down. We got 5 games left. 4 of them being really tough basketball games, and including one on Tuesday night against the Badgers, which with the red hot Badgers team, I believe they won 14 out of 16 games coming into the Kohl Center tomorrow. And is Illinois going to be ready? Because to me, they seem a little broken. And I'm going to talk about a little bit more on Tuesday's preview episode how a couple other guys are going to have to step up now. Brad mentioned Trey White's name. He mentioned Kerry Booth's name. Does Kerry Booth get more time now? I doubt it. I think at this point he is who he is. But, if there's any benefit that comes from this, and I know I'm starting to realize more and more that the crowd is split on the Trey White situation. I think he's a very valuable basketball player. And I think he deserves minutes on this Illinois basketball team. And I know Brad, apparently, maybe there's some kind of issues going on. I don't know. That's why I'm not saying it. If I knew something, I would say it. But there's just rumors going on social media. But obviously, we know he's not playing. That's my point. Some of you are saying, hey, Jake Davis is hitting 3-pointers. Will Riley is blossoming. We don't need Will. Well, we don't need Trey. Well, things are changing now. Who replaces him in the starting lineup? Is it Ben Hummerkaus? I have some opinions on Ben Hummerkaus, which, again, I'll get to in a full episode this week. But Ben Hummerkaus, his confidence seems a little shaken. Colin Boswell, same thing. And so now what's the shift? Now, Morez, look, as soon as Morez went out of that game against Michigan State, it was 65-64. Morez gets hurt. And he misses some bunnies at the rim. And what happens? Illinois all of a sudden reverts back to 3-point shooting Illinois. And I doubt that's correlated, but it's enough that I need to mention it. Morez Johnson being out, it's not like Morez Johnson is a offensive threat under the rim, right? He's simply a guy who just outworks people, grabs offensive rebounds, and he puts them back in. But now you kind of see why at the end of that Michigan State game, all of a sudden those offensive rebounds we're used to seeing Morez getting, Michigan State was getting. And again, just what a trooper Morez was in the sense where, he just said, tape it up. His wrist is broken. He goes back to the bench and he just says, tape it up. Like, that's a dog. That's a tough guy right there. Let's get to some of your thoughts right after this. All right, let's get to some of your thoughts. Again, while you're here, if you don't mind, we got 10 likes, 44 people in here. So hit that like button. This is yet another day of Illini content on this channel. Breaking news, even breaking news. I interrupt lunchtime, come upstairs to get an episode out for you guys because I know, I'm sure we all have thoughts and opinions on what just happened. TM says, TM and Jay basically both say the same thing. Season really over now. Welp, it's over now. Tundra says, with the Vucevic still not 100% on his ankle, we're really down bad at center. You're 100% right. Jason says the university sold its basketball soul for football. Jason, that's pretty funny. Mr. Sox fan says, I'm trying to stay positive, but without Morez, turn out the lights, the party's over. I hope I am wrong. We all hope you're wrong. And you know what? I understand the mood of this episode is a little somber because this news is so fresh. I watched this press conference, less than an hour ago. And, if there is one thing I've been digging at Brad Underwood the last couple of days, and but it's because I feel like it's deserved. I'm still a full Brad Underwood supporter, and I will say that a lot of times when the Illini's backs are against the wall, Brad Underwood shows up and he gets this team ready. And I'm not saying that's going to happen against Wisconsin, but all these, the season is over now. Everything's done. That mentality. And again, I don't blame you, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting for me to see how this team reacts. But as Tundra said, with Tommy, obviously just he himself toughing out this ankle of his, which supposedly is just really bad, like even to look at. He struggled against Michigan State, right? I mean, yeah, he had a good game against UCLA, but he struggled against Michigan State. And it's one of those where how much can you count on him? He's a great player. He's very important to this basketball team, but it's the guy's ankle swollen like a melon. And so you're going to have to understand that you're going to have bad games with those good. Richard says, now we need to take the ball to the hoop, no questions, and must hit threes at a better percentage. Well, Richard, honestly, that could have been said about this basketball team with or without Morez Johnson. It's one of those where, again, I'm going to focus on this a little bit more on Tuesday's episode. The game plan's easy. It's one of those where when you shoot threes and you don't make them, guess what? You don't win. And so you need to change things around. Must hit threes at a better percentage. I'm sure they know that part. It's one of those, they know they're not hitting enough. Kenosha says Underwood played him until he broke. I wouldn't say that. I think there's a little piling on with Brad. Morez was our best player against Michigan State. And if you take a look at the comments from the postgame of that game, and even yesterday, a lot of Michigan State fans were in the comment section afterwards saying we could not handle that guy. And so, Morez was just balling. He was having a great game, and he had a great block. One of the best blocks I've seen in recent memory. It's just unfortunate what happened there. Richard says, need to win 19. Yeah, 19 gets me a little bit more comfortable. 20, I'm breathing easy. But I think 19 with what should be decent analytics, we should be okay. I'm telling you, 18 is a possibility. Mr. Sox Fans 56 says, Kylan and KJ drive the ball from the start and get the Badgers in foul trouble early. You do this, you might have a chance. Yep. I mean, that's similar to what I'm going to be saying for tomorrow's episode. And I might be having Rajiv from the Bucky Report on a little bit later today to give us an idea of how Wisconsin is playing. I got a busy day ahead, so I'm trying to plan everything. And this came out of nowhere, so I had to cancel and move things around. But, I thought this information was important enough. My current favorite Illini player, a lot of your guys' favorite Illini player goes out indefinitely. But let's be honest, a broken wrist on February 17th, I doubt we see him the rest of the year. I'm a couple degrees short of my medical degree, but, it's just, for me, it's just common sense. But, who knows? Again, that kid's a warrior. Mike Murphy says, weird, they are supposed to get better into season. They got worse. Ty will go to Michigan State. Mike, you're not alone in that thought. I thought as soon as he decided to redshirt that Michigan State was a possibility. And, if that ends up happening, that's going to sting. Jay says, plenty of depth at center and power forward. Underwood will definitely figure this out. Jay, I'm curious on what you think that depth is. Ben Hummerkaus, Avicic, and then what? And most of you guys don't even like Ben Hummerkaus. So it's Kerry Booth. Are you talking about playing Trey White at the 4? Maybe Will Riley at the 4, which is fine. But then you're talking about, Illinois has liked to go with the big lineup as of late. And, Will Riley playing the 2 or the 3 at 6'8" gives you a big lineup. Will Riley at 6'8" playing your 4 spot, you don't have a big lineup anymore, especially with the guy's skinny. The guy needs a Summer Fletch. Mr. Soxman says, if Trey White and Gibbs get a chance to play, the energy will be back. Will has to have a hot night, or it'll be a long night in Madison. St. Dom's Rosers season is officially over. The worst season in a long time. What's worse, this season or the season 2 years ago? I still think it's 2 years ago. this team, it's not excuses. I'm not making excuses, but I at least understand the situation more. 2 years ago, I think that team didn't perform as well as it should have. Mr. Soxfan 56 says, I wish we could keep moving on the court like Luther Head did. He would create open three-point shots for himself. Pat, nice to see you coming back. Visich, Morez, Davis, Kylan, Jackson, leaving, Rogers, White, Riley, KJ Booth, and Ben and DJL. Yeah, I talked a little bit about this on this morning's episode, Pat. I don't know if you caught it. I hope you did. I talk about the prospects of how Brad could be his worst enemy, his own worst enemy at this point, just because, Brad's supporters will continue to support him and, justify it. Like, hey, he had to reset his roster because you had so many seniors the year prior. But if he has to do that 2-3 years in a row, well, now it's on you. Now it's on you not finding the right guys the first time and wanting to keep them in your program. Like before, Brad had the get old, stay old mantra. He adjusted from that after seeing UConn. And again, I don't mind that part. I'm actually in support of that part. Brad's like, hey, I can win the Big Ten Conference with get old and stay old, but Brad Underwood wants to win national championships. And he saw what UConn looked like. And he knows you need NBA talent to win national championships. It's either NBA talent or generational basketball players. And right now, unless there's a generational basketball player who grew up in Champaign, it looks like, just using your resources, both financial and whatever else, to bring in potential one and dones is the way to go. And so I'm supportive of that idea because I do want to win a national championship at Illinois. I love Big Ten conference championships. Don't get me wrong. But I do like the idea of dreaming higher. But again, if he replaced 10 guys on this year's roster, if next year he has to replace another 7, 8, and then the following year I do this whole thing again and again, even I'm going to grow fatigued of it because this team's lacking leadership on that court. There's nobody in that locker room who I believe, has the role of a Terrence Shannon Jr., a Coleman Hawkins from previous seasons, just a leader in that locker room. And you build that with credibility and tenure. And right now, the way things are progressing, and again, I'm just saying it for this year. We don't have it this year, but if we go through this whole roster turnover again next year, time to have some conversations. St. Dominic's says, bro, we're not winning any more games this season. Avicic is hurt. Morez is out, broken wrist, requires surgery in most cases. Absolutely. Rajiv, nice to see you. Follow Rajiv at the Bucky Report. Feel bad for you guys. Want to beat you at full strength. Excited for the game. Again, Rajiv and I might be connecting a little bit later, talking about what the Wisconsin Badgers look like since we played in December? Robert says, what in the heck is Brad's son doing coaching the offense? He's basically out of college. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Please, if you don't mind, hit that like button. We're at 15. Content every single day, including breaking news, because that's what I do. This channel continues to grow at the pace that it's growing because of people like you guys. This Discord, as soon as this news broke, went pretty nuts. And so if you're looking for a place to continue this conversation and you are on Discord, take a look at the link in the description. Join us. Find me on all your favorite social media. Send me a message. Let me know what you guys think. Again, Morez Johnson Jr. out indefinitely. More than likely, he's out for the season. How does Illinois rebound after this? I don't know. But you know what? This is why Brad Underwood makes the big money. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.